What's going on, world changers? It is Michelle with Life Unplugged, aka Adam and Michelle Carey. I hope that you are having a fabulous day, and I just wanted to grab a Facebook Live today with you and talk about something that I had really had the opportunity to chew on throughout the night. And so I'll start with the story, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up with a roadmap of improvement that I was able to develop this morning, and I actually got started on it right away, but perhaps you could relate. Now, you'll see in the title of the video that we're going to be talking about today is I had the opportunity last night to meet someone that has been a huge influence in my life, Chris Valentin, right? You probably already know that if you've had been on any of our live videos. Every single time I'm talking about something he said in a podcast or something he wrote in a book, because I listen to his podcast every single night. And I'm reading his book, Destined to Win. I've read Spirit Wars, and I'm going to continue to read a lot of his books just because I really resonate to how he lives his life as far as his approach to his faith, and how he makes everybody approachable for him, and just how he applies a lot of things. And really, he makes me think about why I believe in what I believe in. And he's of the school of thought of you just don't start to believe in things just to believe in them. You have to learn how to think for yourself. But hey, James, good to see you. So anyway, I will say this. It's kind of funny because we are listening to his podcast the other night, and Hannah, I have her listen with me just because I want her to get in the routine of personal development. She's 3 years old, and we try and read together. Reading for her is a little bit tougher, so I'll hop on a podcast. I'll give her my other end of the earbuds, and we'll just, listen to a podcast together, and we'll pray before bed, and then we listen to the podcast and until we both fall asleep. But so it was the funniest thing the other day, and this is how much influence that Chris has over us. And I for any means don't want to put anybody on a huge pedestal, but I just thought this was a really funny story that you would enjoy. So anyway, Adam, me, myself, and Hannah were done praying, and we get settled in to listen to this podcast, and I put the earbuds in Hannah's ears, and Hannah is like, "Daddy, I'm listening to Jesus." And I just thought it was really funny because she had been saying that Chris is Jesus. So anyway, totally funny. I had to correct her in that Chris is not Jesus, but he's been a huge influence over us. So it was funny also that I'm going to be on the Ambitious Women Success Club call next week, and I was just answering some questions for their blog. And one of their questions was, if you could meet anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? And I wrote down Chris Valentin. And of course, because of all the stuff I just shared with you, he's been a huge influence in my life. So literally that day, I wrote that down, and I submitted that off to the powers that be at Ambitious Women Success Club. And then that night, I had the opportunity to meet him. Now, I knew that he was speaking at a women's event for Jesus Culture last night. And so I was just like, okay, I want to meet him. I want to introduce myself just because, I want him to know how much of an impact that he's had. And I'm pretty sure with how big he is, a lot of times people disagree with what he says. And that's just what happens when you have as much influence as he does. And I just know that there's probably not a whole lot of people that really tell him how big of an impact that he's making on them. So I really like to be conscious and just making sure that people know that they're appreciated and that they are making an impact, because I don't think people of influence that put themselves out there hear it as much as they should. So anyway, I knew that I was probably going to have the opportunity to be able to meet him, and he crushed it, absolutely crushed it in his talk with us that night. There's probably about maybe over 250 women there, and I was just really kind of praying about an opportunity to meet him. So anyway, me and my friend Gina, we're at his book table. I had already had a lot of his stuff that he was selling, so I didn't really buy anything, but she did. So I was kind of glancing around, trying to look to see if he was signing books or if he was going to be available for people to meet him. And so anyway, we're at his book table and we're talking to his wife, Kathy, and I turn around and he's there kind of packing up his stuff and talking to another gal. So I'm like, Gina, come over here, and I want to meet Chris. And so since you bought some stuff, maybe you could, ask him to sign your book. And so I pull her over there, and she's, asking him for his signature. And I'm just thinking to myself, okay, Michelle, here's your moment to introduce yourself, and just let him know how much of an impact that he's had on your life. That's all I wanted to do, right? And for some reason, every time I get in front of an influencer, somebody that I look up to that has impacted my life, I clam up and I become a 13-year-old girl, and so I'm just like, hi, and I'm really mousy kind of way, and I'm just like battling with myself in my mind, like, Michelle, why are you starting to act this way? Just introduce yourself. And so I didn't. I totally failed, did not introduce my name or anything like that, did not say hello, even like hello, and it's funny because me and Adam teach people how to break the ice in the cold market, and for some reason this always trips me up. Every time I have the opportunity to meet someone of influence, I get tripped up on it, and I'm just being real with you. And so like the whole interaction was just really awkward because I was making it awkward. And luckily my friend Gina makes a joke because he said Beauty and the Beast, and she was like, did you say Beast and the Beauty or something? So anyway, we laughed it off, but I walked away totally feeling like a loser, and I was just like, gosh, why do I do this every time? Another quick story just to let you know. I don't know why you're calling me. Adam, you're calling me, I don't know why. But, so text me if that's something on the video. Roger, it's Chris Valentin. So Chris is a very influential speaker in the Christian realm. So anyway, another quick story on me doing this whole thing. So right after we wrote our book, Don't Be That Guy in Network Marketing, I went to Eric Worre's women's event, Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing, and he had a party for all the women, and there was an opportunity for all of us to get in line and take pictures with him and introduce ourselves. And so of course I'm like psyching myself up, coming up to approaching him, and finally after like an hour of waiting in line, there was just a huge line to be able to talk with him and take pictures. And I was very cognizant that, okay, I'm not going to be able to pitch my book. We've already sent it to him. We actually sent him like this card that looked like a real piece of cake. And we wrote, like, it really looked like a piece of cake in the mail. And we wrote on this card, you're not a piece of cake to get a hold of, because he's really busy. I'm sure he gets hundreds or maybe, I don't know, thousands of books or things in the mail of people wanting him to review stuff. So I was very cognizant that, okay, now's not the time to pitch. Just like let him know who you are, and just let him know that you wrote the book. And so I get up there and I do the whole 13-year-old fangirl thing again, and I'm just like, I wrote a book. And he was like, okay, what's the book called? And so I totally froze. I walked away once again from that, feeling like a loser again. And so I just kind of was processing last night. And I came up with a game plan. And it's ironic that I was beating myself up over this whole interaction with Chris. And then I started thinking about my interaction with Eric and like, what's my problem when it comes to connecting with people of influence? Like, why do I shrink back? Why am I not myself? Is there like lies that I'm buying into on the inside? Do I not feel like I'm worthy to ask for their time? And so I just started processing all of this, and I came up with some solutions, and perhaps you could relate. I mean, is it easy for you to connect with influencers? And if you've ever like had an opportunity to maybe interact with me and I started acting all awkward, it's probably because I got nervous around you. So anyway, I'm gonna say hi to some people, and then I'm going to go into my roadmap of improvement in this area because I think it's really important. So anyway, James, what's up? Amy, great to see you. Angelique, what's going on, girl? Ollie and I were talking about the carbon before I got on here. I asked him about a post about this teeth whitening stuff, and it's actually carbon, so I'm going to get some of that. And I think it'll be fun just to try out because it tastes like dirt. But anyway, Roger, what's going on? Jeanette, great to see you. Michael, great to see you. Hino, what's up, man? Good to see you. Chris Cohen, what's going on? So anyway, I'm going to go over some solutions because I really believe that if you are, I'm just going to chalk it up as, yeah, I put fail on there, but I'm not going to really beat myself up over that. And it was ironic that earlier that day, Adam and I did a live video and we talked about cutting yourself some slack. So last night, before I went to bed and I started to like process all of this stuff, and I was like, you know what, you need to follow your own advice and cut yourself some slack. Like, give yourself some grace, girlfriend. This is the conversation I had with myself last night. And I was like, okay, I'm going to cut myself some slack, but I'm not going to continue to ignore this thing that's going on with me and connecting with people of influence. One, because I think it's an important skill to have. So solution number one, or step number one to the solution, is cut yourself some slack. At least you recognize an area of weakness, but don't go through the cycle like I started to go down of like beating yourself up, like why do I always do X, Y, Z? And you get down on yourself, right? Can we all just cut ourselves some slack? But here's step two to the solution, is accepting responsibility for growth. I needed to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to cut myself some slack, but then again, I need to accept responsibility for my growth in this area. And I truly believe, and we always teach, like, stay in your strength zone because there's things that you're stronger at. We don't believe in tallying up all your weaknesses and trying to improve all of your weaknesses. See, I'm not like saying that, and we don't believe in that. But there comes a moment where you figure out a weakness and you just have to kind of make the decision, is this a weakness that's worth improving? Is this a weakness that's worth improving? Because if it's not, go ahead and delegate that weakness and stay in your strength zone. Now, the reason why I believe that this is important for all of us to improve is because I truly believe that success, no matter what you're in, unless you're in like a lab developing things or you're a doctor and people are seeking you out because you're a specialist or whatnot, but I truly believe that whatever you do, the way to success is through relationships. It's through connecting with people. It's through relationships. So if you're not comfortable with connecting with people, if you're not comfortable with connecting with people of influence, especially, then that's an area that needs to be improved no matter who you are. If you work with people, then that is definitely an area that needs to be improved. Now, that's easy for some people because up until now, even now, I rely on Adam for that because he's just such a great connector. Like, he's so confident when it comes to connecting, especially with people of high caliber and high influence. So what's been happening is throughout us having our career together, I normally just say, okay, Adam, you go connect with that person and go get the connection for us. I like send them out like a hunter to go get the kill. That's a really bad analogy when it comes to that, but you know what I mean. So I've always relied on his skill, and I've sat back and I've kind of like not taken responsibility for my own growth in that area, if you know what I mean. Does anyone know what I mean? Like, do you have someone else that's stronger in a certain area that you know you need to improve in, but because you have fear in this area every time, you know, I have fear every time I'm like, oh my gosh, there's XYZ, that's a really influential person. I would love to work with that person. Adam, go ahead and connect with them because I get really nervous and I'm going to get all mousy 13-year-old girl. So anyway, step number 2 is accepting responsibility for your growth in that area. And I recognize, like, okay, this morning I was like, okay, I really, because Adam and I are starting to like divide and conquer a lot more, I really need to be strong because you never know who you're going to run into networking out there. And it's not all about what can I get from these influencers. It's more of like, how can I serve these influencers and make a connection with them so we could develop like a symbiotic relationship. I'm not saying like, oh, we need to go out and influence or connect with influencers so we could get things from them. It's more of like, how can we build a relationship that's mutually beneficial type of deal. So again, step number 1 is cutting yourself some slack. Step number 2 is accepting responsibility for an area of growth that you're weak in and recognizing, okay, is this a weakness that is worth developing or is this a weakness that I need to delegate? Okay, and then I wrote down some notes earlier. Step number 3 is what resources do I have to help improve this area? And so I'm naturally, like growing up, I was a naturally socially awkward person. So this whole thing on making connections with people, being social, and developing relationships is something that I've had to develop in my adult life more. And I absolutely love the podcast, The Art of Likeability with Arel Moody. So that's a great podcast if you're struggling in this area of likability, connecting with people, building relationships. Then I really recommend the Art of Likeability podcast. And so I think he does like a couple podcasts a week. So you could virtually listen to him every single day if you have not started listening to him yet. And then I remembered that a long time ago, I actually bought this course called The Influencer Connection Formula by Ray Higdon. I don't know if you could see that. Okay, I bought this 2 years ago because I recognized 2 years ago that I needed improvement in this area, and it became shelf help. I bought something because I knew I needed help in this area, and I just put it away, and I actually stored it away. So this morning I remembered, oh my gosh, I have this this influencer connection formula that I could totally learn from because Ray Higdon is amazing in this area. He's probably one of the most successful trainers in the network marketing space. And so I had to literally, like, in our closet, take out these bins. This is how bad it is. I had to take out these bins from our closet and dig through hundreds of books that we have, and I dug this out. And I was like, okay, Michelle, like, you bought this 2 years ago. Don't let it be shelf help because you're actually taking responsibility now. So I dove in this morning. It was really good. I actually finished listening to CD 1, and I'm going to show you that it's proof that there is a CD in my DVD player, and I have been learning. So I'm not going to go into what I'm learning from him, perhaps in another live video. Maybe next week we'll do that. So I really just wanted to give you the steps of recognizing an area of weakness and moving towards improving that. So anyway, next time I meet an influencer, and if I ever get the opportunity to redeem myself with Chris Valentin or Eric Worre, so they know that I'm not some creepy 13-year-old, you know what I mean, then I am going to confidently be myself. Okay, it's important to be yourself when you're with people, but I'm not going to get scared and start acting not myself, because that was the problem. So anyway, hope you liked this video today. Just wanted to kind of share a little bit of a struggle that I have and what I want to do to improve it. I'm just going to look at the comments here. All right, so anyway, I just really appreciate you guys hopping on. Go ahead and share this video. Thank you if you did already share it. If you have people that are out there, maybe people on your team that maybe aren't like have areas that they need to improve, and they need like maybe a map or a guidance on, okay, what's the steps if I recognize a weakness. If it is a weakness I need to improve, what steps should I take? So anyway, go ahead and share the video. And what is today? Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Adam's birthday. And then through the weekend, we're actually going to be away. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, because most likely we may or may not hop on to do a video and connect with you guys. So if we don't connect with you this weekend, have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you next week. But other than that, cheers to your freedom.